and unpacking what's going on in his head, and I think it's very fluid. The whole show is very fluid, and it doesn't feel like there's this and then there's this and there's this. When you're in it, at least, it feels a lot more like this is just a year in this boy's life.
Right.
And so to pick a favorite moment is strange. I do love For Forever.
Oh gosh.
You Will Be Found, maybe, is I don't know. It's
They're all so good. How did you
it's such a
pick?
perfect show that it's very difficult to pick. It's so real, and your brain can just very easily just drop into it.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Well, I'll be interested to ask you the same question after you've started the show. Did you think of it? Did you think of it?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I agree with everything.
Yeah. How many people in this room are from outside of the New York region? Wow, that's so cool.
Yay, rest of the world.
Yeah, there is life outside New York City. Has anyone seen or is going to be seeing Dear Evan Hansen on tour? Yes. So I was so very, very, very fortunate to take a trip out to Los Angeles to see, thank you, Stacey Mindich, for making it possible for me to attend opening night of Dear Evan Hansen in LA. And it was another incredible moment in the journey of Dear Evan Hansen, and just because I am so deeply passionate about this show, it meant so much to me to see it from a totally different perspective, and my first time seeing it outside. Well, that's not true. I saw it at Second Stage, but to have become so familiar with it and how it is at the Music Box, to see it in a bigger house with just slightly altered staging, just to take up the space that there is in that particular theater. And it's so exciting too, as I hear from people listening to SiriusXM that are seeing the show now more, because not all of them can get to New York City, and that's how I was a lot of my years growing up. I wasn't always lucky enough to come, to Broadway and see a show, so I really depended on the tours. And do you mind if I ask you about Ben?
Sure.
Ben Ross was astounding. Did anybody else get to see Ben, like maybe when he was on Broadway?
I saw him in San Francisco.
You did?
And I thought, after being in the show for this long, I just suddenly my nose became filled with snot in that moment. After seeing the show so many times, I was like, oh, I'm going to I'll be able to watch it and enjoy it, but I won't be moved as an audience member, because I know exactly what's going to happen, and
right.
I know what everyone's doing. But 15 seconds in, I was like, he's extraordinary, and that whole company is a bunch of geniuses who have illuminated these characters. Phoebe Koyabe, who plays Alana on the tour,
incredible.
It's it was just phenomenal. It's just so exciting to see people, a whole different group of people, bring such new life to the show. But Ben is just a dum-dum, so good. And you're right, it's so exciting to see in these houses that are sometimes 2 or 3 times bigger than the capacity of the Music Box, that people in the third mezzanine are still during So Big So Small.
Totally.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, I have to really let you guys know, if you raised your hand and the tour is coming to you, and oh my gosh, you guys are in for such a wonderful, wonderful experience. That cast is off the chain. So I can't wait. Everybody, let me know. Tweet me or find me online somewhere and let me know how you loved it. It was just, but okay. So is it a little wild that you and Ben are both playing Evan Hansen? I just always wanted to ask you about that.
It's preposterous. When he found out he was doing it, we were it's not that weird. But now that it's happening, we finally realized what a bizarre and unique situation this is. It's nice to have somebody who knows exactly what you're going through every night. We try not to talk about it too much. We try not to have it be the only thing that connects us. But it is nice like after the show to be like, I am a garbage person. I was like such a goblin tonight, and for like someone else to be like, I'm right there with you. I understand. But it's so, I mean, it's kooky.
It is kooky.
Yeah.
I just had an image of like actual Evan Hansen dating himself, like a clone of himself. I couldn't tell if that'd be super great or super terrible.
Right, like,
Sorry.
well, my fantasy is like, they're both like in the polos, like doing mirror exercises. Like, that's what I imagine's going on, right? Anybody? Or like you're having pajama parties and like doing masks and like, well, what do you think Evan's thinking in this moment?
Analyzing the script.
Right. But have you like traded any tricks?
No, none.
None. Not like, well, when you go up for that note, like,
If he helps me with that, because he's like a masterful singer, and I am like, every time I'm like, the like opening chords of a song start playing, a little bit of pee dribbles down my nose. No, we don't do any of that. Because like our dynamic was interesting, because when I started he was an understudy for the role, so I never like, it's none of my business to like try to tell somebody how to play this role, and also like I don't think he wants to like tell me like, I don't know. Yeah, it's, but we don't talk about that at all, like how to approach the character.
I just like thinking that you do. I'll
Just send him like pages and pages of notes every night.
Yeah, like after San Francisco, like, honey, we really need to sit down and talk. I can imagine. So let's circle back around to what we touched on a little bit before, but just in the responsibility that has come about, because I think that one of the things that I bet many of you might agree with me is that Dear Evan Hansen is more than just a musical, right? It's so rare that a musical does all the things that this musical does. It's like, it's more than entertaining. It's more than making you laugh and making you cry. It's more than the sum of its parts. I think it's really, that I'm guessing is the impact of the show, is because it reaches you on that deep emotional level, and it's more than just a musical, I guess is the best way of saying it. And it has meant so much to so many people. With that, again, as we touched on briefly before, comes a certain responsibility. And I know that Dear Evan Hansen has partnered with some really important organizations like the Trevor Project, like Born This Way. There's several others. They're all listed on the Dear Evan website if you want to go and check out some of the resources that are available there for the several different organizations that the show has worked with. Because there's an educational component, right? Like, I'm sure as soon as the show started, Michael, you were part of that, it probably became clear pretty quickly that you were gonna need to not only support the people who were being impacted by this show, but you were gonna need support for like how to speak to people about this. So tell us a little bit how you guys have, maybe learned something that you didn't know about in some of these partner organizations, or how you deal with helping people who might be looking to you. And that's both wonderful and probably challenging as an actor.
Yeah, of course. I think what the show does an amazing job with is on the website, there's different references to go to, links to go to for such as the Trevor Project and other organizations that help, and people that people can talk to, which is very, very important, is talking to others. Yeah, especially when the show came out, it was definitely overwhelming because it obviously spoke to so many people, and as it should, and audience members would come up to us and maybe telling us how they feel and some thoughts they would be having. And so what I think was important, and we had different people, such as from the Trevor Project, come in and talk to us and tell them to, go to the website, go to these links, and it's a very valuable tool for us, is to share that with audience members. Because, while we, do everything we can to understand these characters and to show this and to play this show to our best of our abilities, we're still just actors, and we can't give the help or say the right things that people might need. And so I think what this show has done a really amazing job is giving us the tools to share organizations that can.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Well said. Taylor, is there anything that you learned in terms of, you know, some of these organizations, or even just, you know, from hearing from fans that, you know, you've carried with you, or maybe, you know, you talked to somebody and what the show meant to them, and you kind of took that with you into your next performance or something like that?
Sure. Yeah, I feel like I've learned a ton. We did this incredible event with Time recently for Mental Health Awareness Month, where there were like experts in the field who I learned so much from. I think something that I am so appreciative for is that our show has like played a small part in taking away the stigma and the taboo of like just talking about mental illness. Yeah. It's like, even in my lifetime, it's like, there's been such a radical change in the way we approach and discuss mental health. It's like affects so many more people than we like to pretend that it does. Like everybody, there's like somebody in your family or a close friend, and it's like nothing to be ashamed of. And so I feel so lucky to be a part of like an incredible musical, but also something that's sort of like affecting the culture, the zeitgeist in that way.
Absolutely, yeah, it's really phenomenal. Andrew, again, you having the alternate perspective, did you ever have a friend or somebody online, or, you know, anybody that reached out to you that was impacted by the show in, you know, a real deep way because of something they were struggling with?
I think everyone is. I think everyone has something that they're struggling with, and maybe they don't even realize it, and they go to see Dear Evan Hansen, and they know something about themselves that they didn't know before they saw the show. I think that's what it does. After I saw the show, the first time I left and I got in the car, and my mom was like, "How was it?" And I was like, "I don't want to talk about it." Like I was just, it does something to you. It stirs something in people that is yeah, there's nothing like it. And so yeah, absolutely, you know, we're high schoolers. Everyone's dealing with stuff, especially with social media and everything that the show talks about. It's a reflection of what we're all going through, and it's like, oh, I'm not the only one. I am not alone. And that's really, really, really special.
Yeah, it's really powerful. Well said. Well said. It's, I think one of the most powerful choices that the writers made is that there's nothing on the page itself that identifies any particular condition that Evan has or struggles with. So one of the things that's been really phenomenal to watch is each of the gentlemen that I've been able to see do the show, and the cast around them is dealing with it in their own way. Whatever their version of Evan is and what he's struggling with is interpreted by each person, because it's not spelled out on the page. And I think that it speaks to what each of you have said, is that everyone can relate to it, because whether you're not like, well, I don't have a diagnosis, so that you're relating to Evan, you know, whatever your experience is, because it's not specified. So it does make it very relatable for all of us. And I think another thing that's really powerful, who's like a younger audience member, young adult audience member or younger, that doesn't have kids, but that relates to the parents, can find something to relate to in the parents' story? Yeah, me too. Like, I don't have kids. Yeah, I don't have children of my own, but I feel so much for the parents' side of the story. In fact, let's open that up. What do you feel, think, learn, observe about the parents that are, you know, the cast members, and the story of your roles and the parents?
First of all, Taylor, Michael, and I have 3 kids together.
Oh, somehow I missed that on Wikipedia. But guys, like, what's your relationship with your onstage parents and adults?
They're all geniuses. Like everybody who's played those roles, like the current actors, Rachel Bay Jones, who's left. Like our understudies are all like just like mind-bendingly good. What were we talking about? I'm sorry. It's not working. I'll get there. Hey.
Even that.
You warmed up. You
Yeah.
feel great.
Yeah, you woke up like this.
Yeah, baby. I truly, I don't know.
Well, Michael, you must have an interesting, because again, save him. I mean, again, I hate to, sound like a broken record, but because you get to play
Yeah.
all of the roles, you must have an interesting relationship with the so-called adults in the show.
Yeah.
And can you see it from their perspective? Can you see?
Oh,
yeah.
No, for sure. I think I guess I'll talk about I think the Heidi and Evan relationship. I think what the show first, I guess when I first saw it showed to me was that as a kid growing up with a mom, you kind of see your parents as they know everything. You look to them as someone that's for guidance, and of course, that's typical. But what the show brings out is that they're human too, and that they make mistakes, and that they might not always say the right thing, and might not know how to talk to you in a certain way or something. And it's a relationship, And so I think what's interesting about when you see parents come see the show is that they might have that experience of, wow, like I feel like I need to connect with my child, or I can see my relationship with my kid up there, and I think what's important is kind of what we were talking about before, is talking about these things, and talking and being open, and when everything comes from a good place and out of love, everything's okay, But I think it just shows the complexity of a mother-son relationship, and that goes even with the Murphys. Those parents there with Connor and Zoe. There's just a lot of family dynamics that I think everyone can relate to, and if that makes sense, I think
that's what I was gonna say. That's what I had thought, and then he sort of sucked it out of my
Yeah.
Those were all Taylor's words.
They were all Taylor's words.
We were having like a whole Cyrano
Yes.
moment.
3 children.
Andrew, are you in rehearsals? Like official rehearsals?
I am.
Starts on the 30th. Go! What are you doing?
He starts January 30th. So can you give us a little insight into what's going on in rehearsals? Like, there's a stage manager probably, and are you doing rehearsals with the understudies mostly?
This past week, actually, I've started working a little bit with the onstage cast, which I'm very, very lucky to have done, because that's not super, that doesn't happen in a lot of shows with a lot of roles, and that's been awesome. So it's really right now, I've been doing music rehearsals and sort of table work rehearsals for a couple months now, and we just got into like a studio a week or 2 ago. I don't know what time it is anymore. And so I started working with the understudies, and then it was the onstage cast, and next week I start doing stuff on stage.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been awesome. So there's a stage manager and some associate directors and a music person, and sometimes there's choreography people. It's like it takes a village, really. And there's like, just imagine a studio, but then like all the stuff is in it. So there's like a bed on wheels, and like, it's very weird and cool. With really comfy pillows, by the way. Yeah, it's been awesome and terrifying and amazing.
Yes. I think that so many of us share enthusiasm, excitement, support for you getting this opportunity, and it will be our first teenage Evan Hansen, right?
Please, Tiger Beat.
How do not to make it scary or anything, but that's a lot of responsibility too, right?
I know. A lot of it is work that I have to do in my own head, but it's good to know that I have guys like these, like Taylor and Michael Lee Brown and Ben Ross, who I've talked to, and Ben Platt, who I've talked to, who are have just been so wonderful in being like, yeah, it's like hard. But why is there not a group chat? I went into this really hoping there was a group chat.
Yes! That needs to happen. That needs to happen.
Anyway, yeah.
Support group of Evans.
But yeah, there's a lot of responsibility to the role and to the people who love the show so much. And it's kind of in knowing the show and watching the show before and just being such a huge fan, I think I kind of know what I want Evan to be for me, for my brain. As an audience member, you're coming to the show and you're going to see Ben Platt's Evan or Taylor Trench's Evan or Michael Lee Brown's Evan, but all we can do for our own brain is just try to be Evan. And so that's what I'm trying to find. And there's a lot of responsibility and a lot of difficulty there.
Yeah.
But it's been really cool.
Yeah. Oh, so grown up, so mature. As an answer. That's
Tiger B.
beautiful. Hashtag Tiger B.
He's not actually a teenager, he's been lying this whole time.
Gabby and Diamond, two of the other studies, put a thing on their Instagram where in unison they said the secret is that Andrew Bart Feldman is actually 40.
That's a whole new hashtag, keep the secrets. Taylor, what are you going to be doing? Don't say Disneyland.
That's Andrew's territory.
I invited him to go to Disneyland with me, actually, when we were in California at the same time, and he was like in a different place.
But what's on your agenda other than fan art? Like when you take that polo off for the last time. What do you
Raising the kids.
What do you think you're going to be feeling?
Yeah, I'll be taking care of our kids, Brigitte, Rachel. I'm gonna probably go follow the national tour of Dear Evan Hansen, like Fish or the Grateful Dead or something. I truly am the day after my last show. I'm flying straight to Seattle to go be with the national tour of Dear Evan Hansen. Maybe I'll be an understudy, but like as the parents. Well, because I think Cynthia is really where since day one, since the first time I saw, I was like, Cynthia is where it's like where I live, where I exist. I'm gonna probably also just like sit down, not sing for a million years. I don't know, take a break. I don't know.
Yeah,
We'll see.
that's exciting though. It's exciting to think about what.
You become homeless? Can I work for you?
Come on over to the studio. We need some help. We definitely
The
need.
reason for this panel is actually to get Taylor
Right.
a place to live.
Taylor needs us next
I
meeting.
manages a Panera Bread or anything. I love soup and breakfast. I would be happy to serve those. Also, while I have the mic, I just want to quickly give props where props are due and say that in the middle of Ben Platt's run, they introduced Michael as the alternate because no one should ever do this twice in one day. And recently I've had like every infection a person can have in their head. And Michael Lee Brown has done so many 2-show days, which is like superhuman.
That's really wonderful. And we touched on this earlier, but I think when you get to do the show in sequence, when you get, instead of just like, oh my gosh, I have to go on tonight, or your regularly scheduled alternate performance, but when you get to do a few in a row, it must change your performance a little bit because you're really getting to kind of sink down into it in a rhythm.
For sure, it's definitely it's different momentum. Wow, I couldn't say that word. Momentum. It's a different momentum. I think I got caught. I think I am in my own rhythm now from doing it. Just my scheduled shows. But it's also very nice to have shows in a row because you just have a whole different feeling of being up there. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's so cool. If you have seen Dear Evan Hansen, wave. Yes.
Through the ballroom.
Yeah, waving through a ballroom. If you haven't seen it but have plans to, yes. Well, it is remarkable to get to share years later the continuing story and journey of Dear Evan Hansen. I am so proud of what this show has meant and what it has done, what it has made us all feel, and also for our performers that gave of their time today when they still have shows. Please give it congratulations to everyone who's been involved in Dear Evan Hansen. Long may you run around the world.
Thank you guys.